That's right. There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it.
Just when you thought things couldn't get more chaotic, boom, it blows up again. Karoline Leavitt just dropped a second lawsuit on The View and ABC. They're spiraling into full-on crisis mode. Whoopi's sweating bullets, Joy Behar's fuming, and Sunny Hostin, she's unusually silent, which says everything. This ain't some petty internet drama. This is lawsuit number 2, a full-force legal strike aimed straight at the network and its biggest stars. And insiders say they're falling apart behind the scenes. Sources say the cast and crew are locked in frantic emergency meetings, trying to control the damage. Sponsors are already dipping out. ABC execs are panicking over what they're calling a reputation-shattering disaster. The media giant's walls are shaking, because Karoline didn't just come for revenge. She came with receipts. Oh, what exactly did Karoline drop this time? And how did one court document manage to rattle the very core of ABC's media empire?
Joy Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a this rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Well said.
72 hours ago, The View aired another episode. And after that $800 million lawsuit already had Whoopi lawyering up, you'd think they'd chill. Nope, that you'd think after a lawsuit that huge, the host would play it safe. Maybe cool it, show a little restraint, or drop a boring PR apology. But nah, they doubled down. Live on air, in front of millions. No filter, no caution, just raw, reckless drama. Instead of backing off, they mocked Karoline again, boldly, loudly, and like they had nothing to lose. Joy Behar, never known for biting her tongue, threw the first jab. Trump's Gen Z talking head. The crowd erupted. The panel gave each other knowing nods. It was a roast session in full swing. Then Sunny Hostin jumped in like she was passing a baton in a gossip relay. She called the lawsuit a choreographed GOP stunt and didn't flinch. And then came Whoopi, the epicenter of this whole legal storm. The same Whoopi whose courtroom tears had just gone viral all over the internet. She smirked, casually pushed up her glasses, and dropped a line so petty it lit up Karoline's legal team like a siren. She's lucky we even let her on the show. The audience applauded like it was stand-up comedy. The producers probably thought they struck gold, but what they really did, they handed Karoline's lawyers a silver platter of ammunition, because behind the scenes, her legal team wasn't laughing. They were already isolating audio, transcribing every word, matching every shady comment to timelines they'd already submitted to court. Every single second of that smug little segment became a breadcrumb trail straight to lawsuit number 2. They didn't just cross the line, they launched over it. And those insults? They weren't just petty. They were legal dynamite. Let's get one thing straight. This ain't about hurt feelings or bruised egos. This is about showing the world that even while under the heat of an active lawsuit, The View's hosts didn't just stay on script. They ran wild with the same reckless behavior they were already getting sued for loud. Proud, unbothered. Until boom, the thunder dropped, another lawsuit. This one hitting federal court like a gavel straight from the heavens. But this wasn't just a casual part 2. It was a precision strike, fueled by a powerhouse legal squad and backed with a mountain of receipts. And this time, it wasn't just about defamation. It was all-out war. Karoline Leavitt flipped the script. She wasn't playing defense anymore. She came swinging at the heart of the lawsuit. Retaliatory defamation, basically. They were already being sued. And instead of cooling off, they cranked up the heat, mocking, taunting, and tearing down Karoline in front of a national audience. Not once, not accidentally, but deliberately. The complaint? Ruthless.it lays out every move in razor-sharp legal language. No tossed-off comments here. These were calculated attacks, meant to wreck her name, humiliate her, and rattle her mid-lawsuit. Accusations include malicious repetition of defamatory conduct, public lies meant to intimidate, reputation destruction, full-blown career sabotage, and Karoline's not just throwing claims. She's coming with backup. The lawsuit is loaded with precedent citations and brutal expert takes. One media law professor quoted in the filing said ABC's defense is so paper-thin, they might as well skip the trial and ask Karoline where to send the settlement check, or the direct deposit. Ouch! And it doesn't stop there. Her legal team even pulled statements from media ethicists, law academics, and a former federal judge, all saying the same thing. They can't believe what they just witnessed. This isn't a lawsuit. It's a media earthquake. Media experts didn't hold back. They called The View's decision to keep mocking Karoline astonishingly ill-advised, especially for a crew already knee-deep in a defamation lawsuit. And now, the whispers in Hollywood are starting to sound more like sirens. Word is Whoopi might be starring in her final season, and doesn't even know it yet. Over at ABC, it's not just messy. It's a full-blown meltdown, legal red flags flashing. PR teams drowning in crisis mode. Advertisers disappearing faster than a commercial break. Turns out, that first lawsuit, that was just the calm before the storm, because Karoline's second strike, it hit like a tidal wave. And the flood is rising fast. Insiders say ABC's headquarters isn't just buzzing, it's on fire. The studio of The View has reportedly turned into an emotional war zone. And here's the wildest part. Karoline didn't have to light the match. The hosts did it themselves. The same ones who laughed her off on air are now watching the empire they built crumble around them. Here's how the fallout hit. Within 48 hours of the second lawsuit being filed, everything backstage unraveled. And we're not talking nervous murmurs or quiet stress. This was straight-up chaos. Producers, normally calm, collected, clipboard-toting pros, were reportedly furious, but not at Karoline. Not at her legal team to NO. Their anger was aimed directly at the stars of the show. The talent, as they're called in TV speak, had gone off-script one too many times. And now, the entire brand is dangling by a thread. They didn't just stir up controversy. They built the very wreckage they're now trapped in. The meltdown wasn't just on camera. It spilled straight into the control room. One longtime producer snapped during a post-show meeting, slamming a folder on the table and yelling. This is what happens when no one listens. The vibe? Explosive. Staffers said you could feel the tension in the walls, like the whole place was bracing for impact. And can you blame them? This wasn't just about one lawsuit anymore. IT was too up, both threatening ABC's reputation, viewer trust, and millions in ad revenue.
So it is the belief of this White House and the White House counsel's office that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House was resting on.
And then came the bombshell. An internal memo, leaked like a ticking time bomb, was confirmed by not one, but two independent sources. The document became instant gossip fuel. Whispers in hall, encrypted Slack chats blowing up. And the memo's message? Brutally cleared, we asked the panel to avoid inflammatory comments on this case, but they didn't listen. That single line sums up the whole disaster. ABC didn't walk blindly into this mess. They saw it coming. They gave the warning. But Joy still threw out jokes. Sunny brushed it off. And Whoopi, she smirked, right into a lawsuit nightmare. Now, ABC's in full-blown emergency mode. Sponsors vanishing, legal teams working around the clock, producers scouring transcripts, footage, emails, like they're building a defense in a criminal case. And the mood on set? Rock bottom, .1 exhausted staffer, who spoke only on condition of anonymity, kept it real. We used to joke about lawsuits. Now we're Googling severance packages. That's not just fear. That's survival mode. And at this point, the dread hanging over the View? It's not paranoia. It's reality. Insiders are confirming what everyone's been whispering. ABC is hitting the brakes hard. Internal budgets? Frozen. New segment development? Shut down. A massive promo campaign for the View? Shelve indefinitely. And get this, security around the studio has doubled. Not because of physical threats, but because the backlash is erupting like wildfire. Angry emails, protest tweets, phone calls lighting up the switchboard. People are demanding firings. Even longtime fans, the loyal ride-or-dies who used to defend every spicy segment, are now turning their backs. .1 viral comment summed it up perfectly. This show used to be about truth. Now it's just about tearing down anyone who disagrees. Boom. Petitions are spreading like digital wildfire, calling for the resignations of Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin. And here's the kicker. Those petitions? They're actually gaining traction. Insiders say ABC's board is now reviewing talent contracts, a move that only means one thing in TV land. Someone's about to get the boot. And what's Karoline doing through all this chaos? Nothing. No press conferences. No tweets. No dramatic interviews. She's playing the quietest and most lethal card in the media war. Silence. And right now, that silence is louder than any headline. Because in today's world, when everyone's screaming for attention, the one who stays quiet, watching, planning, waiting, holds all the power. As the View spirals into a public meltdown, Karoline's just standing back, watching the empire crack from a distance. And it's clear, she's not done yet. For years, major networks buried the stories that didn't fit their narrative. For years, silence was their shield. But this time, that silence belongs to Karoline, and it's cutting deep. The Karoline Leavitt versus The View firestorm isn't just another media scandal. It's a full-blown legal inferno. Too big, too viral, too dangerous to sweep under the rug. And that's exactly what sets this apart from the usual tabloid fluff. This ain't your average celeb feud. We're talking two federal lawsuits filed within weeks of each other, both aimed straight at the same show. And the fallout? It's shaking the very bones of daytime TV, cracking open debates about journalistic ethics, and testing the legal boundaries of what could be said live on air. Even networks that usually protect the View or steer clear of amplifying conservative voices are being forced into the spotlight. Why? Because the facts are too loud to ignore. The backlash? Unrelenting. And the internet? It's not letting this one fade into yesterday's feed. Now, legacy media is getting dragged into the crossfire, like it or not. Reporters from MSNBC, CNN, even New York Times, are quietly reaching out to media attorneys and legal analysts, scrambling to make sense of a story that's now spinning out of their control. Because this isn't just headline gossip. This is about the future of free speech. This is about how far the media can go before crossing the legal line into defamation. And Karoline? She's not just suing. She's challenging the system. What makes this moment historic is how she played it. She waited, then filed a second lawsuit while the first was still active after being publicly dragged again. That move? Not just gutsy. It's a legal bomb. Media law experts are already saying this case could set new precedent. And not just for network TV. We're talking about YouTubers, podcasters, Twitch streamers, influencers. Anyone with a mic and an audience might feel the shockwaves, because if Karoline wins, the bar for what counts as reckless disregard for the truth in today's digital world just dropped big time. Meanwhile, Twitter's turned into a war zone. Alliances, call-outs, receipts everywhere. The internet's not just watching this fight. It's fueling it. Hashtags like hashtag Our Karoline, hashtag Strike Back, hashtag Sue the View, hashtag Justice for Karoline, and hashtag Defend the Truth have taken over political conversations. Nonstop for 3 straight days at TikTok, exploding with resurfaced clips of the View. Users stitching together shady soundbites from Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny, while lawyers break down the legal drama frame by frame in real time. YouTube's in full courtroom mode. Big creators are hosting live panel streams with attorneys, PR experts, and political commentators, all dissecting the lawsuits line by line like it's the Super Bowl of scandal.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
But here's the real shocker. The cracks are starting to show on the left. Progressive voices that used to defend media darlings like The View are suddenly hesitating. One high-profile MSNBC analyst, famous for backing progressive media, went viral this week after posting. Karoline may be controversial, but she's calling out a media problem we've ignored too long. Boom. Thousands of retweets, tens of thousands of likes, and a wave of hard questions now hitting the mainstream. Because here's the thing. The elephant in the newsroom? It's too big to avoid now. For years, The View, and shows like it, operated inside a comfy media bubble, throwing shade, making personal digs, and tossing political grenades under the soft glow of applause, easy interviews, and loyal press coverage. But Karoline just popped that bubble. And now, the heat is on the hosts themselves. For the first time, they're the ones getting grilled. No fluff pieces, no softball questions, just the raw truth on full display. Because this case, it's no longer just about Karoline. It's a flashing red warning about media ethics, unchecked influence, and a dangerous game of weaponized commentary. And guess what? Everyone's finally watching. This battle isn't just courtroom drama. It's about the razor-thin line between opinion and defamation. It's about what happens when massive media platforms run unchecked for too long. And now that the industry's been forced to look in the mirror, The reflection staring back is uglier than they ever expected at ABC is officially facing its worst-case scenario. A decision they never thought they'd be cornered into. Keep the view alive or pull the plug. Inside the network's HQ, the atmosphere has gone from chaos to frozen panic. Multiple insiders confirm that top executives are locked in endless emergency meetings, staring down a choice that could rewrite ABC's entire legacy. Sources say they're trapped between three brutal paths: temporarily suspend Whoopi, Joy, and Suna flashy PR move to make it look like they're taking action, without actually shaking up the foundation, but critics are already dragging it. Too little, too late. Damage is done. Audiences aren't buying surface-level spin anymore. Settle both lawsuits privately, but it'll cost them big. Think massive checks, public apologies, awkward retractions live on air, and a desperate scramble to stop sponsors from bailing. It's expensive. It's humiliating. And even then, there's no guarantee it'll actually work. The nuclear option: cancel the Vi rebrand the entire time slot. Cut the cord. Torch the brand. Try to start fresh, but pulling the plug on one of daytime TV's most iconic shows? That's legacy-shattering. And no matter which move they make, it's going to hurt. And the whole world's watching. Now, according to insiders deep inside the chaos, it's looking like the unthinkable is actually gaining serious traction. Why? Because the damage might already be beyond repair. The urgency? It's real. ABC's bleeding out fast, and there's no sign of it slowing down. Sources say the ad sales team is in free fall, with sponsors yanking deals at whiplash speed.